So one of the skills you need for 10.7 is completing the square. So those problems on 10.6, the reason they're on there at the end is to get you ready for 10.7. Okay, you'll need this year, just a bit. You'll also need it in when you get, we'll cover a little next year in advanced algebra, but then in math analysis you'll use it quite a bit as well. So completing the square. First thing you need to know is how to multiply these things out. So x plus 2 times x plus 2. All right? If you have a binomial that's squared, it just means that times that. All right? So what I want you to do on each of these is I want you to multiply them out. Find the product of those. Okay? For those of you that need a reminder, distributive property or FOIL would help you out there. Okay, so go ahead and finish those first three there. Okay, x times x, x squared. X times 2 is 2x. 2x times, or 2 times x, 2x, and 2 times 2 is 4. All right, so you end up with x squared plus 4x plus 4. All right. Somebody got that? Okay. So really when you're doing that, you're getting 2 of these things multiplied together, right? So if we did that again, x plus 3 times x plus 3, we end up with x squared, 3x, 3x, and 9er. Okay, so we end up with 2 of those 3x's in the middle. We get the square of that, or square of that on the ends. So you get x squared and 9 on the ends, and then x times 3 doubled, which is 6x. So the goal would be for you to be able to get to that point without having to list it out, where you go that squared, and that times that is 4x doubled is the middle. Okay, understanding the patterns involved there. Okay, any questions? That is a perfect square binomial. This then, what type of polynomial is this? Are these? They're trinomials. They've got 3 terms. These are called perfect square trinomials. This is a binomial squared. This is a perfect square trinomial. Your goal, go ahead and close your Chromebook, Gino. Your goal is to complete the square. In other words, make this trinomial a perfect square. What number would have to go right here? And to help you there, you could use the binomial square. So, yeah. Would it be 9? Would it be 9? It would actually be 81, yeah. We'd have to take half of this, which brings you the 9 there, and then square that to get the 81. All right. So I want you to complete this square. Notice the plus went there because of that. It's a plus. The back term always has to be positive because you're squaring. Go ahead and do that next one there. All right, tell your neighbor what you got here. Cut it in half, that's negative 12 because it's negative 24, and then you square it to get 144. Alex? Well, notice that each of these, if we look at this pattern up here, x squared plus 6x plus 9, this number right here is always twice that one. So if we know the b term, we can cut it in half to find that one. Okay? Good question. All right. I want you to go ahead and do this one. A little tougher with fractions. All right, what's half of negative 1? Negative 1/2. And when we square it, that's 1 squared over 2 squared. Take half and then square it. All right. Everyone rate themselves 1 to 5 right now. All right. Okay. I want you to finish those last 3. I'll be walking around if you need help. Okay. All right. Hey, x plus 10, right?
Yeah.
And 100. Divide by 2, we get m minus 3 halves and 9 fourths. And then divide by 2, we get x plus 2 and 4. Questions? All right, so it was brought to my attention that the problems from your assignment, for instance, this one right here, I think is the first one that you had, x squared plus 4x equals 45. Okay, and it says solve the equation by completing the square. First thing, you don't always have to use, they say that you use completing the square. They want you to try that, but really we could use multiple ways of solving this. Okay, we're going to show how to do completing the square. So the first thing we're going to do is please note that if you're going to complete the square, we're going to write it in this format where I'm going to have a blank at the end here. There's like an opening right here because we're going to complete the square. So if I'm solving that using completing the square, I actually have to make it a perfect square first. I'm going to kind of ignore the 45 over here for now. So do exactly what we just did there. Okay, so that's x plus 2. Squared is 4. Now I got to put a plus 4 here to make that a perfect square. Now in equation sense, whatever you do to one side, you have to do the other. So over here I have to put plus 4. I have to add that same amount. How does that help? Well, x plus 2 quantity squared equals 49. How do I solve that? Well, the first thing I do is take the square root and get rid of that square. By taking the square root of both sides, that makes that plus minus 7. Now remember, when you impose a square root, you got to put plus minus. So x plus 2 equals positive negative 7. So x equals negative 2 plus minus 7, which is negative 2 plus 7 and negative 2 minus 7. We break apart that plus minus, that is 5 and negative 9. And could I have got that another way? Yeah, you could have used quadratic formula, you could have factored, you could have used graphing. All those methods would have worked. Completing the square is just another method. Okay. How many of you don't remember completing the square? Or you're like, I can't remember doing this. Okay. All right.
The one you just did was 12.
That was 12? Okay, so that was number 12 on your assignment. The next, let's do, I think 14. Is that the 2x squared one? Okay, let's do that one. All right. So number 14 on your assignment as well. All right, if there's a number out in front of that A, we're going to try to deal with that as well. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get all of my constants to one side. So I get 2x squared plus 12x on this side, plus that plus 20 we're going to move over here by subtracting 20. All that equals 14. Next thing, let's divide by that A term. Let's get rid of it. Divide everything by 2. Whatever A is. That front term. So if a was negative 7, you divide by negative 7. In this case, it's 2. Okay? Now, I want you to solve it, completing the square. All right, tell your neighbor what you got. All right, how many got it? Negative 7, 1. Very good. Okay. Questions? Yeah.
So, oh, never mind. I got an answer. You can solve it.
Yeah, Hunter.
So would you put the C over to the other side on just anywhere, anytime?
Yeah, you always move that constant term over.